gentlemen, all right, pets and plants and all the furniture of your house. It's time for, I like the idea that somebody's furniture is really into the Rage Select podcast, John, and so they just put it on and then they just set it on a couch and then leave and all the furniture just listens to it. I want to make podcasts for inanimate objects from here on out.
I think it's an untapped market.
I think, you know what? They've got a lot of disposable income. They don't have to spend a lot of money. They don't have a lot of expenses. I think we're on to something. We're on to something. And they do fuck, because I've seen it on the internet. You've seen couch porn.
It exists. It is a thing.
That's true. But hey, everybody, welcome back to the Rage Select podcast here on Rage Select. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
And we have a very bizarre potpourri, a potpourri of news.
Cornucopia, if you will.
That implies there's a lot of good things in it. I'd say this is more like a Jack in the Box value box, or like an Overwatch loot box full of cold McDonald's French fries, yesterday's pizza, and like a Twinkie that I found in the fridge.
Man, I totally want yesterday's pizza. That was good.
Yesterday's pizza is not bad. I'll tell you what. We're back. It's the Rage Select podcast. But before we jump into the news, I have a thing specifically.
A thing?
I have a thing that I would like to do a little bit of chatting about. It's not The Tick. I haven't had a chance yet to watch the Tick on Amazon.
As soon as I get internet, I'll totally watch The Tick, because I really need to watch that. I need to watch Defenders. I need to watch... There's a lot of shit that I need to watch.
You know, by the time you get your internet back, you might as well... I don't know. I feel like you should just wait another 6 months and then just do that thing where you experience all culture on like a buffer, so that you know the good stuff. You already know what's out. I mean, you've already got a head start, right? You've got like a month head start.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to The Tick.
Yeah. I started watching it, and 3 episodes in, I was like, this is too fucking serious. Like, it's trying to be too serious for The Tick. And then I just got sidetracked and went back and watched the Patrick Warburton Tick instead. But I finished that, so now I'm going to go back. But let's not talk about The Tick, because I haven't watched it, neither have you. Let's talk a little bit before we get into the news about Twin Peaks.
I haven't watched that either.
Well, good. I'm glad. What have you been watching? What can we talk about?
Briscoe County Jr.?
Season 12 of NCIS?
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen that. I mean, mostly I've been watching like horror movies. So, like, you know.
Have you seen any good ones?
I mean,
what's the best one you've seen recently?
Well, they're all like, you know, like well-known movies. I really, you know, trying to think what's one of the ones that I had actually not seen. That, you know what? Well, we started watching a lot of the old Universal monster movies.
Okay.
And I honestly don't remember ever watching the original Boris Karloff the Mummy movie.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that.
It's really good.
Is it?
Like, it still holds up. Like, even like the swan, like, you know, the
Creature from the Black Lagoon?
Creature from the Black Lagoon, thank you. Was really good. You know, Dracula is kind of...
Bleh.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, I always find it funny that, like, when people do, like, impersonations of Dracula, they're not really doing an impersonation of Dracula, they're doing an impersonation of Bela Lugosi.
Sure.
Because... that's Bela Lugosi. That's Bela Lugosi in every fucking part he plays. That's not Dracula. It's just that was the part he played that time.
Yeah,
but
it'd be like if Nicolas Cage was Dracula and everybody was like Dracula. You know, Dracula 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, we were watching like a ton of stuff. I'm trying to think of. I feel like there was something. I mean, I watched a lot. I've been watching a lot of shitty like horror movies on Netflix, like Netflix original horror movies.
Oh man,
just like fucking god awful terrible. Found it, you know, I've discovered that Netflix movies, original movies, are 9 times out of 10 fucking terrible, whereas their TV shows tend to be good.
Yeah, that Little Evil movie, not so good. Not the best.
No, I've heard good things about it. I don't know. I haven't watched it yet. That's going to be watched this weekend. That along with a few other movies.
Okay. But anyway,
you want to talk about Twin Peaks though?
Let's talk about Twin Peaks.
Let's go back to Twin Peaks.
It's been a really interesting year for TV. Like, I feel like Rick and Morty has been really good. Season 3 of Better Call Saul was great. The latest season of Game of Thrones was, for the most part, very, very good. It's like somebody suddenly hit the fast forward button. Like, there have been whole seasons of Game of Thrones where it's just been like, oh, talking, political talking, and then we're gonna flash over to these guys and they're like, oh, political talking, and this season it's just like, I don't know, Michael Bay this shit, bro, fucking everything's on fire. Like a lot of people have given the show shit for the fact that like it seems like they suddenly have teleportation technology where it's like guy gets on a ship and it's like 12 hours later he's on the other side of the world and he's just like, hi, I'm here now, we don't have time, we have to keep going. Anyway, but Twin Peaks is something that is, I have a weird mixed relationship with David Lynch, because part of me really likes David Lynch, and another part of me thinks that David Lynch is so far up his own ass that like where he stops and asshole begins is just, you can't even calculate it.
I'm gonna say something, and you're probably gonna like, I'm one of these people.
Yeah,
that's part of what I like about David Lynch, is that he's so far his own ass that he just does batshit crazy stuff that makes no sense, and then somehow can make a sense, but it also still makes no sense even when it makes sense.
Yeah, well, so here's the thing. There was a time in my life, up until I was about 27 years old, where I had a lot of really nice feelings about surrealism and like, oh man, they're taking chances, they're doing this weird stuff, it's nothing like the mainstream. And then like at a certain point I just kind of got tired of it, and like, you know, then I gotta watch fucking Scarlett Johansson drive a van around for 20 minutes and I'm just like, get to the fucking point, movie. I don't have a problem if you want to have a slow burn movie that, like The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, right, is a good example of a movie that does not, it's not a fast movie, it's a slow movie, but I'm okay with it. But then there's movies, I'm talking about that one where she's an alien and she's like naked through half the movie and it's the most boring fucking movie of all time. She drives around.
I still have no idea what movie you're talking about.
Scarlett Johansson drives a van around and abducts dudes and she gets naked a lot. And it's just so fucking boring. Like, they're just these extended protracted scenes of her driving a van. I'm sorry, it's a pet peeve of mine. I'm trying not to get sidetracked.
Keep going.
Okay, so here's the thing about Twin Peaks. You and I actually talked when the first episode of the new season debuted.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so we're
a little bit, yeah.
What are there, like 15 of these motherfuckers?
Yeah, I think it was 15 episodes.
Okay, so allow me to say...
No, there were 18 episodes.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because the season finale was actually 2 episodes aired back to back.
Yes. Okay. Allow me to heap some interesting praise on this, because one, this is one of those cases of where I don't know how this fucking got made, because they apparently just gave David Lynch a fucking blank check to let him do whatever fucking crazy bullshit weirdo nonsense he wanted, right?
Well, there was also that weird thing where, I don't know if you remember, like when this was like before they actually started filming, like where it was like Showtime was like, it's totally happened, David Lynch is on board, all the actors are on board, we're totally doing this. Okay, all the actors are on board, it's totally happened, David Lynch, he wrote the script, but he's out the door, he's not going to have anything to do with the show.
Yeah.
Okay, half the actors have refused to do the show because David Lynch is not going to be on the show, but we're still going to make it because, okay, we've made a deal, David Lynch is back, he's doing all the episodes, all the actors are back on, we're going to stop meddling, see you later until it's coming out.
Yeah. So what's interesting about the result of this is that this was, for better or worse, 18 episodes of Twin fucking Peaks, and like the special effects in a lot of cases are shitty because they match the shitty special effects of the 1980s, or like the way that David Lynch does stuff. Like, there are effects in there that I know are shitty on purpose because I could do them better in After Effects on my computer where I play video games, right? They had to have been made crappy for a reason, and I don't know what that reason is. Also, the story is meandering and fucking crazy, and there's a part in the middle, there's like about 7 one-hour episodes where I was just sitting there like, motherfucker, could we move this shit along? There is one episode where roughly half of the episode has like no dialogue, and it's just all, oh man, and then like you're sussing out, and I've never been happier for the internet, to where the episode is over and I go look on the internet and they're like, okay, let me explain to you everything that happened for realsies. Like, here's the wiki article for this character that was in the background. If you remember, they had a line of dialogue in the first season that meant for and I'm just like, oh, okay, good. Because I'm not going to go back and mull this shit over every week to figure out what's going on. Okay. All that together, I feel like the show came to an end, like what would be considered a satisfying resolution for fans, for like maybe new TV watching people, right? And then there was like 90 minutes after that.
So yeah, from what I've heard, everyone I've talked to is like, if you just want the happy Twin Peaks ending, don't watch episode 18.
Like about halfway through episode 17, turn it the fuck off.
Everyone I've heard says watch up to the end of episode 17 and then don't ever watch episode 18.
Yeah,
if you want the full David Lynch experience, go ahead and watch episode 18.
Yes. I find it interesting, though, in this particular day and age, that there are people that are just like, what? That wasn't an ending? What kind of stupid horse shit is this? And I'm just like, bro, it's David fucking Lynch.
I also appreciate that, like, Kyle MacLachlan got asked, like, what is the meaning of the ending? And he's like, you know what? I have no idea. Like, he's like, I have no idea what's going on in that last scene. You just have to ask David Lynch. Because I did what he wanted me to do. I don't have any. And they're like, so do you not like the fact that you have no idea? He goes, oh, no, I loved every minute of it. I have no idea what any of it means.
I think it is a singularly unique series.
Yes.
In that it is not polished. It is full fucking David Lynch. The fact that there are 18 hours of basically raw ass David Lynch going on in there is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
That there wasn't what I didn't even know the story that you just told me, but that there wasn't studio meddling to pressure him into making this more intelligible.
Well, I don't even know if that's what it was. It's just there was a point where David Lynch said, "I have nothing to do with the show. I'm leaving."
Yeah,
like, I've given them all my scripts.
Yeah,
they're allowed to do whatever they want. But we've had a disagreement, and I'm leaving. And then, like, I think Kyle MacLachlan said, "Yeah, if David Lynch isn't on board, I'm gone."
Yeah,
and like apparently, and then a bunch of other original actors were like, "Yeah, no, we're gone too." And a few of like the new actors that were like big names or whatever were like, "Yeah, no, we're not." And then Showtime went, "All right. David Lynch is going to be on full creative control over the whole thing." Sorry.
Yeah, but so I would say, if you're a fan of Twin Peaks, definitely watch it.
Oh no, I am looking forward to watching it. Like I keep wanting to go buy that Blu-ray box set of the first two seasons.
Yeah.
And then like I'm kind of hoping that instead they just release a complete box set of seasons 1, 2, and then now 3.
Oh yeah.
And then I can just buy that instead, and then sit down and marathon, because I know Amanda has only seen the first season, and I don't even think she's seen the whole entirety of the first season.
Said she's dropped off halfway through.
Yeah, she dropped off halfway through just because other stuff happened when we were watching it. And I would love to do okay, let's sit down. We're going to watch everything from beginning all the way to the end, regardless of how she feels about it, regardless if she's like, okay, this is stupid, I want nothing more to do with it. I'm going to be like, no, we're going to watch it beginning to end. Let's do it. Let's go. And I want to experience that without,
I think that I would have liked it better if I could have marathoned it. I think if I could have held off, I think I would have liked it better if I could have gone back to back. But the other thing, though, now having seen all this is another weird property of this show. If you haven't seen Twin Peaks season 1 and 2, don't watch it. Like, it's not going to make any sense. It's a literal continuation of you end season 2 and then you start season 3. And yeah, okay, there's a few new things. And there's a few new things.
Also 25 years in the middle, but
right. But
that's part of it.
But there's a lot of like references to characters that I had kind of forgotten about, and I was just like, oh shit, this person. And
that show came out in like the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s.
I didn't even watch it when it came out. I watched it on like VHS like a decade after that. But it's interesting how.
And then you got to figure out where Fire Walk With Me falls in line with that whole shit.
Oh, it's before everything.
I know.
But there's a line.
Well, you got to figure out where to watch it in, like not chronological order, but like where to watch it.
No, you got to. Well, I would. Yeah, I'd say season 1, season 2, Fire Walk With Me, season 3.
Okay.
But like, there's a line in Fire Walk With Me that becomes a major plot point in, like, not even the series, but the fucking crazy movie that is like
that no one liked.
Unmitigated weirdness for 2 hours, and then you're done. And then I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, but it's an experience. I mean, in today's like everything's smooth and glossy and looks good and is kind of cookie cutter, it's definitely a fucking interesting experience to have. And if they get to do another, I hope they get to do another season, because I feel like the Lynch or somebody that was one of the people high up in the actors that were like, he said that he had so much fun he would do another season if they offered it to him. If this is where it all has to end, then it's an appropriate Lynchian ending to a series, where the way that season 2 ended was definitely a cliffhanger. This is just kind of one of those weird, like, and then it was over. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Season 2 ended in a way that it was like cliffhanger ending because we totally expect to get another season. Oh, we didn't. Okay.
Right.
And this one, from what I heard, it's an ambiguous ending that's like, that's just,
could be the end, whatever.
I have friends that are like, I have friends who are like diehard like Lynch fans or Twin Peaks fans, and they're just like, no, I don't want them to do another season. Not because I didn't like this, I fucking loved this. I just think that ending is perfect.
Yeah.
I don't understand the ending, but I think that it's perfect.
I could see that. All right. Well, with that, let's jump into the news. So we don't have a shitload of stuff this week, but the first thing that we have, I think, is a delightful surprise that I can honestly say that I did not see it coming.
If it's what I think it is, it's by a person whose name you have to say, and he has my money.
What?
If it's what I think it is,
okay.
It's by a person who, whenever you say his name, whatever it is, he has my money.
Oh,
like, I'm going to take my money.
Just add some ka-chigs in.
It's literally like if someone walked up to you, and I'm not saying this is who it is. It's if someone walked up and said, Jeff, Kojima made a game.
What? Kid, take my money. Shut up and take my money.
Yeah. This is one of the people that I would be like, shut up and take my money.
Okay. And this is The Good Life, which is the next game from SWEARY, who I swear I had a story about where he said, like, oh, I'm done making games for a little while, like after D4. Which I never did you play all the way through D4?
I played through a good portion of it.
Okay. And now, remind me, you're a big Deadly Premonition fan, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I've never beaten it, but I have played through most of it.
Okay.
That's also one thing you got to realize with me. When I like a game, that doesn't mean I've played through the game 100%.
Yeah.
That just means I really like playing the game, and I don't mind playing the beginning over and over and over again.
Okay. So this is a really weird trailer, because it's like
it changes tones multiple times.
It's like half stock footage with like just titles over it, and then some of it's just like weird game art. So apparently this game is about a photographer from New York who goes to this little town to like turn her life around, and she's trying to like work, but then apparently all the money that she makes working, she's also just
spending drinking.
She's just drinking, which I can relate. This is semi-autobiographical. Most people don't know this is the story of Rage Select. No. But then also at night, everybody in this city turns into a cat?
Yes.
Because
why not?
Because why not? And then also there's a
murder mystery, apparently.
This trailer switches gears like 5 times in the middle of it.
Yeah. So it's like this, it's, it's this woman who's she's in a lot of debt. She's a reporter or whatever, and from New York, and she lives in New York, and her newspaper says, we're going to send you to the happiest town in the entire world.
Yes.
And you got to write stories about this town.
Yes.
And when you write, and she gets there and she finds out that it's the fucking boonies. It's middle of nowhere.
There's no Starbucks.
There's no Starbucks.
There's no burritos.
There's no burritos.
I don't know why they point out specifically.
There's no Chipotle.
Why are you so hung up on specifically no burritos? Make
no
a burrito.
Chipotle.
No, okay.
There's no Chipotle. There's no Starbucks. There's literally not. There's no internet. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no. I don't know if there's nothing. This is middle of nowhere. There's nothing but sheep.
Okay.
There's sheep, Jeff.
There's sheep and booze
and cows,
and then it's cats.
Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. And then apparently also at night, everybody in this town, this happiest town on earth, turns into a cat.
Can somebody explain to me why the main character's cat like has her little sunglasses?
So
you know
it's her.
Okay, I mean, but she's got like a lot of other distinctive features than just the sunglasses.
Well, it's not like the cat can carry a camera around. It doesn't have hands.
This seems like something that could be worked through fairly easily. And then also at the very end, there's like a woman in a puddle with a sword in her.
Yeah,
and
like it literally feels like a scene right out of Deadly Premonition.
Yeah.
Of like a woman in a lake with a sword in her, and it's like, oh god, like it's all like this weird, like they even changed the filter on the camera, and like everything's moving in slow motion, and they're like, who is the killer?
Well, and she's like, it's vulgar. She's like, what the fuck? What the fuck's going on here? And then let's go back to riding a sheep down the road. What?
You can ride a sheep. 10 out of 10. Would ride sheep again.
Would ride sheep again. So this is being crowdfunded on Fig. I don't know if this has actually been fully funded. Can you actually check that on Fig?
I think so.
But the small amount, I wouldn't even really call it, like, it seems like there's even a thing at the beginning where they say this is like real early. This is real early. The game's gonna look better than this, I promise. Signed, SWEARY. Like,
yeah.
And it looks like, I don't know, it's pretty bananas. I have to say that, you know, sometimes in the world of gaming, the reason that so it's 14% of its goal right now. Wow, they're trying to get $1.5 million, and they're up to, as of this recording, 219,000 with 1,448 backers. Man, what if it doesn't get crowdfunded, John? I want to know what happens with the sheep and the cats and the cats and the murder.
Cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon.
Yes. They've still got 35 days left, so who knows? But no, for what I was trying to say before was that I have to appreciate, even if I haven't played all the way through, you know, even if we pulled the ripcord on Deadly Premonition, I have to say that developers like Kojima and Suda and SWEARY, like, I appreciate we're going to do some crazy shit. Like, you don't fucking know, like, what's going to come out of this guy's head next.
Yeah, no, totally. Like I literally every time like Suda51 and SWEARY make a game, it's like I don't know what to expect in those games, but you know what?
Yeah,
I know I want to be there and experience them. Like I know that at least.
Yeah. Speaking of Suda51, did you get a chance to see the No More Heroes trailer last week?
I saw the one that was at the Nintendo the conference.
Little indie thing. Yeah,
I saw that.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he also like publicly, like after announcing or releasing that trailer, also came out and apologized to the original Switch announcement thing when he had first announced that he was doing something.
Yeah.
And he was like going like so fast and kind of off script that the translator was having a hard time keeping up with him. He finally came out and apologized about that because apparently that's become a huge meme again.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I think this looks really interesting. I can't wait to get a chance to play this.
Yeah. I hope it makes its funding. I hope it gets released. I'll play it.
Yep, I agree. All right. Next up, this is kind of weird. There was we had a trailer for basically they're expanding the multiplayer beta for Call of Duty World War II.
Yes.
That if you like, I haven't looked at exactly what this is, but apparently you can now pull at least one unlock from the beta into the multiplayer game when it launches.
Yes. And also get double XP during
the first
beta.
weekend.
Or something like that.
But I think this is kind of interesting. I'm trying to think back. I don't remember that many instances where you got upgrades in the full release for playing the beta. I guess Neo had a couple of things.
I've seen a few where like if you play the beta or the early access or whatever, you'll maybe get an item when the full thing comes out. But I've seen a few things like that.
I also wonder whether this is just going to make like Call of Duty multiplayer like for. Are there people who are just like, you know what, I've never been into that Call of Duty multiplayer, but this new World War II one looks interesting and I'm going to play multiplayer in that, and then like day one everybody's got like fucking flamethrowers and bazookas and like
have
upgraded machine guns
like 6 times and,
and you're just like, what the hell, what, oh no. I don't know. It's funny. When we played the Call of Duty World War II beta, I actually really ended up enjoying myself by the end of it.
Yeah.
Not at the beginning, obviously, but by the end. Let's see. Next up, we had 5 minutes of The Evil Within 2. And I think this is the first time that we've actually seen gameplay, actual gameplay, as opposed to...
And it's beta gameplay.
Yeah, as opposed to just a cutscene montage. Yeah. So this is about 5 minutes long. The term gameplay is, I might put that a little bit in quotations. I mean, technically it is somebody playing the game, but there's no combat in any of this.
It's literally just showing you the interface, showing you some of the basic mechanics, and the guy's walking around kind of back and forth and
running from a pretty horrifying monster. I gotta say that I'm really interested in this. I don't know. There's one of the things that was in this trailer was a stamina bar. Yeah. Which I don't know if there was a stamina bar in the first game. But I'm really hoping that this one kind of refines a little bit of the gameplay to a point where it's not just full on stealth. But what I really do like about this is the way that the character is in this one room in the beginning is turning around, and the room keeps changing behind him.
It keeps getting smaller.
Yeah. There's the photographer, which we saw in one of the previous trailers. And then I will say that even though there isn't any combat, the spooky goddamn monster that's chasing him around is real spooky.
Yeah.
Cool and interesting. It's it's like a bunch of lady heads with a buzzsaw arm, and he's just running around through vents. I don't know. It's kind of like Metal Gear meets Resident Evil almost. I don't know. You said you recently tried to go back and play the first game, right?
Yeah, I didn't. I found that I really didn't care for it.
Yeah,
because I bought it when it came. It was a game that I bought when it came out because I went to Target and they were having one of their buy two get one free sales, and I bought I think the Halo Master Chief Collection, Shadows of Mordor, and Evil Within.
Yeah,
and then I never played Evil Within.
Okay,
it was just one of those things. I played everything else. I just never got around to playing Evil Within.
Okay.
By the time I was done with those other two games, other games had come out that I really wanted to play, and I only bought Evil Within and Shadow of Mordor because of that sale.
Okay.
I had no intentions of actually buying them otherwise. So I was pleasantly surprised with Mordor. And then I recently tried to play the first one. I'm not big into sneak games, games where it's you got detected, you died, start over.
Yeah. Well, it's not just a fail state thing. It's more like the enemies are so difficult that you might as well just reset if you get caught type of thing?
No, it's the very beginning of the game is it's not a fail you fail the entire game, but you have to go back to the last checkpoint, which is long before where the sneak section was.
Okay, but you didn't get, because I know that later on it's not that, right? But it was just that part turned you off.
Yeah, that part turned me off so badly that I was just well, I'm not playing this game anymore.
Okay.
Because I don't like that kind of gameplay.
Well, I don't know. I'm really interested in this one. Everything that I've seen, every trailer has been very well put together. I kind of like the mind-bending unreality of what's going on.
Yeah, no,
here.
I thought that looks really cool. I thought that actually looked really cool in this. I'm kind of interested, but I'm also apprehensive because of how much the first one didn't grab me.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that too, where I thought the first one was okay, but I don't know. I've been thinking about doing an experiment where I go back and replay the first one on easy. Just to be I'm not interested in, I just want to kind of roll through the story. I'm not interested in having to count every bullet and reload if, I miss two things. So, good monster design, though. I really like this kind of weird lady.
Yeah, no, it's creepy as hell.
Thing.
Giant saw blade.
Yeah.
October the 13th.
Yep, Friday the 13th.
Which also, I know that the Friday the 13th game gets its physical release on that same date.
Ooh, spooky.
I mean, it's already out digitally, and anyone who wants it is already going to own it, but...
That's true. Well, from there, let's go to something equally as horrifying, John, and that is Farm Life!
Why do you do this to me, Jeff?
I don't, because there weren't that many trailers out this week. I guess the answer to that question.
You already made me play Farming Simulator.
I did. No, dude. There have been 4 farming simulators since that one that you and I played.
Oh, I know.
And I have. That's been is there anything? Is there DLC? Is there a bad game that I could play? Because I really wanted to bring up this trailer. So this is a trailer for Real Farm, which appears to be another farming simulator game.
Nah, this ain't no simulation, yo. It's Real Farm.
It's real. It's Real Farm.
They're real. This is for reals. Look at this cow. It looks fucking real. Look at this chicken. It's fucking real.
Looks like a real ass
corn.
chicken.
It's real. You could eat it. Eat it. Farms.
But
Real farms.
I know that they won't let me run over a chicken in the pickup truck in the game, and that's what really bums me out. I just have to come back and say, like, look, man, I'm not trying to shame you or anything, but like, okay, so just recently I was watching something on the internet. I was watching some YouTube video that was just talking about like, oh, the violence in video games and like how like violence is fine, but like maybe we should have some games that is a little less violent for people who are just not into shoot blast. And I'm like, okay, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But this doesn't look like. This just looks boring.
There are some people that like those types of games, though.
I don't understand why. Like, there are some people that like Euro Truck Simulator, and I still don't understand.
Train Simulator.
Train Simulator.
Euro Train Simulator.
I don't.
This is a real thing.
No.
The train just goes forward and backward on a track.
Yeah.
You can control the speed of the train.
I don't.
You don't create the track. The track's already laid.
It doesn't.
You just go in one direction, in the other direction, and you control the speed.
No.
You can't cause a crash because the game doesn't allow that. It's literally all you can do.
I don't
There
understand.
are people who find this interesting.
I don't understand. It's like, you remember that GameCube game that was like the commuter train simulator that came with like it was a Japanese game that had its own like little like what was that mech game that was like that?
Yeah,
where it had its own like controller, and it was just like go forward, go back, open the doors. Like, Steel Battalion. It was like a Steel Battalion, but for like a Japanese commuter train, and it was like, I don't understand. Like, I understand card games. I understand Minecraft. I understand tower defense. I don't understand. Like, I got to get this corn out to market before. It seems like it's a chore. I even understand The Sims, for fuck's sake, but I just don't understand Farm Simulator. If you're a big fan of farming, Farm Simulator, if you look at this Real Farm trailer, you're like, oh shit, Farm Simulator is going to get a run for its money. Like, maybe write in the comment section why? Because I just don't. I don't understand why. I don't know. And then last on the trailer parade, we have a trailer for the Resident Evil 7 Gold Edition that has a few interesting.
Oh, is that what it's called? Gold Edition?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I totally misread that. I thought it said Good Edition, and I was like, wow, that's a really harsh to people who bought the original.
Resident Evil 7, this time it's not shitty.
But I mean, it's a good game. I love that game.
Yeah.
But it was like I thought that there was some like it was like a joke, like they were being facetious. Like, it's the Good Edition with all the DLC in it.
Yeah.
And it said Gold. I feel stupid.
Well, apparently, I don't think it has. I don't know if this actually comes with this new DLC that they've announced. I know that it has the episode 1, episode 2, or the tape 1, tape 2.
I think it comes with everything with the exception of the Zoe.
Okay.
The Zoe thing. Like, it has the Not a Hero. I think it comes with the Not a Hero.
Yeah, I think Not a Hero is just a thing you get when you buy the game. But End of Zoe, which is actually interesting, and I wonder if this was
not to be confused with Zoe of Enders.
Who's that?
I'm joking. Zone of Enders.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha.
Wordplay.
Because I always wondered what the fuck happened to this character.
Actually, no, I think it does. End of Zoe does come on there. It just says it's also available separately for purchase.
Oh, so if you already have it, you can get it.
Yeah,
okay.
So it will be the first way to get that.
Okay. And then finally, and then all this is going to be dropping in, I believe it was like December 12th and 14th. Spoiler alert if you haven't played Resident Evil 7, but it's also going to come, I'm seriously, spoiler alert, because it's the very end of Resident Evil 7. It's going to have the Chris Redfield additional content is also coming out in December, which I'm really interested in because that was one of those like, what moments in Resident Evil 7. You got all the way to the end of the game, right?
I've seen it.
That was definitely just like, wait, what?
Yeah, and he works for Umbrella? What?
Yeah.
What? Say what?
Yes,
Say
exactly.
what?
So, and it's funny, Resident Evil 7 is also probably the best PSVR experience out there.
Yeah, it really is.
I can't play because it's fucking scary as shit in VR. Like, it's way scarier, you guys.
I still enjoyed watching Jason Murphy play that.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even get to like I think I got past the Mia stuff to the part where you're like actually in the game and the dad is like hunting you through the house, and I was just like, God,
nope, I'm done.
So that's cool. If you haven't played Resident Evil 7, I'm gonna be real honest here. Resident Evil 7 to me was one of the best horror games I've played in a long time.
I agree.
Two, absolutely amazing because a company like Capcom did the right thing and didn't just huck out another Resident Evil that was Leon and crazy Japanese and whatever. Like, it's such a departure from a franchise that has its own style. It would be like if Konami put out a new Metal Gear game and it was like I don't know, some kind of weird low tech like Texas Chainsaw Massacre game or something if it was completely different, because Capcom is the kind of company that I do not expect to make the types of departures that they made with Resident Evil 7, but everything in Resident Evil 7 worked really good.
Yeah, like that actually surprised me and kind of makes me wonder what the hell's going on at Capcom when they can do Resident Evil 7 so right but everything else so wrong.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, we're getting Marvel Capcom Infinite's coming out in like a week or two.
Yeah,
something
a couple
like
weeks, week or two.
And I don't know, man. Capcom's track record. Apparently, they've been making updates to Street Fighter V. That, like, I watched a whole documentary thing on YouTube about how like pro players are upset with the additional, like, they've been doing balance changes that have fucked up kind of the environment that the pro players play at in Street Fighter V. And it's kind of like, well, Jesus Lord, Capcom, like, that was your audience. Like, you put out Street Fighter V for pro tournament
you put
people.
it out early and unfinished for the tournament people. I can't say that word.
So yeah, I don't know. Whatever, but whoever's doing that, keep doing that. I like what I'm seeing on Resident Evil. And if you haven't played Resident Evil 7, I highly recommend it.
In a lot of ways, what's interesting is because it is such a departure, in a lot of ways, it's also kind of a throwback. I mean, it does have a lot of elements from the first couple of games, that you may not think when you see it. You may be like, this is something completely, they're totally capitalizing on something else. And, like the PT demo, and they're not, this is not real Resident Evil. But then when you play, it's like, no, it's totally Resident Evil. Like, it has every hallmark of the classic Resident Evil games that people like tout as like the true Resident Evil games 1 and 2 and 3 or whatever.
It needed a few more enemy types. They leaned on that one, the blobby guys. They leaned on those guys a little bit hard, especially towards the end.
Oh, it's not a perfect game, but I'm saying it was so different, but at the same time, it hit a lot of the buttons that it needed to, or checked a lot of the boxes to be a Resident Evil game. Yeah, trapped in a place, getting kind of hunted by crazy murder stuff, a lot of good puzzle stuff. I mean, I fucking loved the bedroom DLC. Yeah. I haven't played any of the DLC.
Very fun. I just never got a chance to play any of the rest.
But yeah, and the ending made you go. The ending was an ending. First of all, it told the story, but then also introduced this new thing that made you go, wait, what?
Yeah, like if they had canceled, it was a little weird because it's a little scummy in my mind for them to, because they literally put an advertisement like after the credits for this DLC, this Chris DLC that we're talking about. But it told a beginning,
it's free
middle,
DLC. So.
That's true. That's true. But it told a good beginning, middle, and end story. And that came out this year, right? Did it come out this year? Was it early this year?
I think it came out last year.
Did it come out last year?
In October of last year, November of last year, right after E3?
I think it came out this year.
No, it came out last year.
January 24th, 2017!
Okay.
So, no, I just remember because we had an intro for it, and I started the intros back up in January.
Right. Yeah, before you nix them.
Yep. Well, speaking of Resident Evil, this is a weird thing, but apparently a YouTuber out there has found a kind of an Easter egg in Resident Evil 4. roughly 12 years after its release. And this is a weird thing. Like, it's not actually anything super interesting, but I find it interesting that there's still things left to find in apparently Resident Evil 4.
Oh, I mean, they're finding shit in all sorts of games.
So after the helicopter crash, apparently if you have a scope, you can look kind of to one corner of the map and you will see it's very, very difficult to make out unless you really raise up the contrast and you have the right scope. But apparently one of the developers put just a picture, a roughly cut out picture of them, little peace signs up behind a pillar way off in the distance. And it's apparently the person. This is off of, let me give credit where credit is due, Slippy Slides YouTube channel. And then they went in and dug in the game files and found this particular little JPEG in the game files. So, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yep. All right. From there, let's move on to an announcement that just came out. Was this today?
Yeah, this was today. And I went, what the fuck?
Yeah, this is not one. Let's get let's set it all up and then we can do the obvious joke at the very end. So Rockstar is putting out a new version of L.A. Noire for the HTC Vive, Nintendo Switch, and PS4 and Xbox One. Okay, so the Vive version, John, why don't you run this down because you know a little bit more about this than I do.
Yeah, because I actually was very curious about this because I don't hate L.A. Noire as much as you and Amanda, I think.
I need to maybe go back and play it because I just had an idea of what I wanted in it.
I know Amanda fucking hates that game.
Yeah.
With a passion, she hates that game. I think the game has a good, solid first act, has a kind of okay second act, and a fucking terrible third act.
Yeah.
It goes downhill fast once the change happens. The
big
twist,
switch, yeah.
The big switch, and if you never played the game, you don't know what I mean by that, and that's fine. But when that happens, the game just kind of goes to shit real quick. I thought it was really interesting for what it did at the time. But obviously there was a lot of issues behind the scenes, and I guess that's part of the reason for some of the issues with the game. And not only that, the studio that made it closed down shortly
Team
after
Bondi,
the release.
yeah,
closed down shortly after the release of the game.
They had a real problem with their CEO, that they would we've seen this before, that when they let somebody go, that they would take their name out of the credits for the game. So they would I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, so the HTC Vive version is the first one that they've talked about, which is they've taken 7 cases from the game, because in the game you're a detective. You start off as a beat cop and you move your way up in the force to become a detective, and you go to crime scenes and you investigate and things like that. So they say that they've taken 7 cases, and you can play those cases in VR on the HTC Vive.
So that's not desks. That's just cases.
Yeah. So in other words, you're not playing the open world stuff. It kind of sounds like you're just doing the thing where you're investigating the crime scene, where you're looking for clues and picking up items and looking at the items for further clues and making.
Okay, but I guess the question that I have is are they just basically, when they say cases, I mean, cases last between 10 or 15 minutes per, or at least from what I remember, between finding the thing and then you do the interrogation and then you make an accusation, essentially.
Yeah.
So if it's just 7 of those, that's that's weird, because that's just a real small snippet of the whole game.
Well, it kind of sounds like that's what they for VR purposes.
Yeah.
It sounds like they want to use the room scale so you can investigate the crime scene. They don't say if it's first person or if it's going to be third person. They don't really specify what it is, other than it's 7 cases from the game. So in other words, probably not the stuff in the third act, and it's probably the stuff at the beginning, probably all the way up to the.
But if it's cases, I mean, each desk has between 5 and 7 cases in it. So if it's not, I guess that's what I'm curious about, is that there's a difference between a desk and a case.
Yeah,
a desk.
They don't really go too detailed. They just say this is what it is.
I bet it's just individual cases. I bet it's a very small.
So there's that for the HTC Vive, and I feel like they did. My bet is that the HTC Vive thing is the whole reason that this is happening.
Yeah,
because they wanted to test VR, their capabilities with VR. with the franchise they don't give two shits about anymore.
Sure.
So they went, well, why don't we take this, because we already have all the assets, let's HD them up, let's put them, let's make these little experiences. And they're like, well, since we're already fucking with all the assets and everything, fuck it, let's just remaster the game as well.
Yeah.
And so you're getting a full-fledged remastered with all the DLC for the PS4 and the Xbox One. No, just they're the full game, no special bells and whistles, but it comes with all the DLC for the PS4 and Xbox One. And then you're getting a Switch release, which I think is the other big one here, because they actually specify that not only do you get the full game HD re-release, but you're also getting they're adding in special Joy-Con controls and touchscreen interface controls.
Yeah.
So they're clearly doing something to make it, to add stuff specific for the Switch.
Right. It says gesture-based controls.
So again, I think my theory here is because when you're looking at the crime scenes and you can actually pick up stuff and you can turn stuff, I think you can actually whenever your character picks up with the Joy-Con, the weight of the Joy-Con feels like you have that item in your hand and you can turn it and it'll turn in real time. And
right.
Like which again was probably also the case in the VR version. So I kind of feel like I have no basis for this, but I feel like it started with the VR and them just kind of doing something and saying, well, let's see if we can make money off of this. Right. And then maybe if this does well, maybe Rockstar will give LA Noire to another studio and make an LA Noire 2. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just start doing other stuff in VR. Maybe this is just their attempt to do VR, and they're just saying, well, we'll also release this other stuff.
Well, and then it's also worth noting that the PS4 and Xbox One versions have what I don't understand, in quotes, new cinematic camera angles.
Oh, yeah. So, well, that was the other thing. The Switch version also has you can change the camera angle. I know for like they said, like you can actually have it the normal angle, you can put it over the shoulder or just like in a widescreen angle, and I'm assuming that the new cinematic camera angles is also referencing to that as well. So you can change where the camera is, because I think that was a complaint people had, is that they didn't like where the camera was positioned for the character.
I think so there's a few things here. One, I really hope that it's not a full $60. I bet it's gonna be, but
I'm hoping it's like a $30 game.
I think 40 is probably where we're gonna end up.
You're probably right. But I mean, this is like a 12-year-old game.
LA Noire?
Yeah.
It was definitely when I was working at Spill, so 2011, so 6-year-old game.
Yeah, I mean it's an older game. Like I said, I like the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
it just goes downhill really quick once it starts going downhill.
Yeah.
Like it really kind of feels like there's some elements of it that feel rushed. And hearing the problems with the studio, that clearly makes sense.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's worth checking out when it comes out, as long as it's not too expensive and they haven't announced a price.
Yeah. Well, so okay, that's part one. Because if you never got a chance to play LA Noire, it's weird because I don't think I can wholeheartedly recommend it, but it's interesting if you're interested in that. I almost wish that they would go back and...
It's kind of the evolution of the point and click.
Yeah, sort of. I wish that they would go back in and pull the shooting and chasing and some of the driving.
The driving in that fucking game was terrible.
Make the driving optional, but I almost feel like that would LA Noire would have been better if it was made as like an indie game where it was just all about the interrogations. Also, the homicide desk ends up. The homicide desk is such a fucking. I mean, okay, so if you haven't actually played the game, every desk has its own storyline. So, you start out in what do you start out in?
You start off as just a beat cop,
right? But what's the first desk that you go to? No, you start out as a beat cop, and then you get into
arson.
Is it arson that you start with? I thought no, arson is later after you get busted down. It's like you go through, I think there's something first, and then it's vice, and then it's homicide, and then it's arson, and then the game goes off the fucking deep end and goes crazy.
Yeah.
But arson is a great desk. Vice is pretty good. Homicide is fucking god awful.
I actually really like the homicide stuff. It's just the ending was upsetting because it's really good and really engaging, and then when you get to the end and find out what happened, it's such a kind of a gut punch.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of we're going to give you the most unsatisfying ending that you could possibly imagine for this.
Yes, absolutely.
And then never come back to it. It almost it really feels like it's like, oh, this is the gut punch, and then you're busted down to this other department, and then something's going to happen, and you're going to come. Like I literally thought, oh, you're going to come back to this case.
Yep,
you're totally going to come back to this case because this case is probably one of the more interesting cases in the entire fucking game, and for it to have ended the way it ended is just like it feels like this is where the game is building. Like you're going to come back to this, and you're going to end it on such a high note of finally vindicating yourself for it.
Yeah,
and it's just never brought up again.
Yeah,
it's completely ignored. It's moved on, and then it does this other twist that makes even less fucking sense and is such a even more of a just thank you for shitting on the first.
It's weird because it's interesting what happens. I don't know why we're talking so much around this, but
this game,
whatever. Like the main character, there's a turn in your perception. Actually, the first bunch of desks in the game are like establishing, like the game starts by telling you like things about Cole, about the main character, and then as the game goes on and you learn more about him, it's like your perception of him changes. And I feel like there was something interesting that could have been done if they just continued that progression to its logical conclusion, as opposed to switching you over to like or doing this twist where it's like now you're back to everything's cool and I'm playing the good guy and blah. Anyway,
well, it was just they come, and I'll even go a little bit further with it. It's like you don't like. There's a point in the game where you change the main character of the game changes.
Yeah,
and you play as a completely different character.
Yeah,
and it's unsatisfying.
Yeah. I mean, it's, think of a game where you play 3/4 of the game with one character and then suddenly you just get yanked to be somebody else.
It's like Metal Gear Solid 2, except instead of it happening, the switch with Snake happening at the beginning, it happens 2 missions before the end of the game.
Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And the last 2 missions are played by Raiden.
Yeah. That's a very good. Yes, that's an excellent way to describe it. Anyway, so all right, let's do wrap this one up. I really hope that this is a way for them to be like, whoa, now that we got this VR thing, now we could put VR tech into Grand Theft Auto 5. Also, it's happening on the PlayStation 4 as well as the HTC Vive. Because
Red Dead Redemption.
I would love to play GTA 5 with the first-person element in VR. I think it'd be wonderful if they could make it work. And then, yes, why are you fucking around with this? We still don't have Red Dead Redemption on the PC, motherfucker. Come on. You got time to waggle your Switch Joy-Cons, but you don't got time to port.
Or fuck it. Why bother with this shit? Port Red Dead Redemption 1 to the Switch, goddammit.
Okay, yep, or that. I take that. I take an up-res version of the PS4 and Xbox One of Red Dead 1. It's just whatever, man. Whatever. All right, so we're going to roll through the rest of these pretty quickly. So everybody loves Stardew Valley. I never really played it all that much.
Sort of played it.
But apparently, Chucklefish's next game is going to be kind of like Stardew Valley, but like Harry Potter in a wizard school or whatever. Ooh. And I'm like, that sounds cool. Because, as we've already established, Jeff hates farms, apparently. So instead of having to live in an idyllic farm village, maybe we could go live in a wizard school and do magic and turn people into cats at night. See, it's all coming together. It's all the same podcast. It's all it was like
it's all connected.
A whole season of Twin Peaks, and if you watch it all, it makes sense.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah. Dead Rising 4 is coming to the PS4.
Remember earlier when I said that Capcom, they're doing really good with Resident Evil, but then they're just fucking up everywhere else?
Yep.
Well, this is not something they're fucking up with, but it is something they fucked up with.
Yeah.
Like Dead Rising 4 is just, the more I think about it, the more I can't.
So, Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package, is going to have a new mode called Capcom Heroes, where Frank can don the costume of over a dozen different Capcom characters, giving him special powers, in addition to Cammy, which we've got a nice screenshot of.
Yeah.
You also be able to dress up as Sissel from Ghost Trick, which is really weird to me because I thought I was the last person in the world who remembered Ghost Trick. Ghost Trick is fucking great.
Yeah, it is.
Mega Man X, Zangief, and more. And also is going to bring in all the DLC. So
yeah, they're releasing it for the PS4.
Yep.
I think it's going to be only $30 or $40.
That's a good $50.
It is $50. Yeah,
December 5th, $50.
And then for Xbox One owners, the what is this extra package thing?
Capcom Heroes.
The Capcom Heroes thing is going to be a free patch update into the game you already own. It's not going to be DLC you have to pay for.
Yeah.
So that it's the timed exclusivity of this game has ended and is now coming to PS4, so they can now experience all of the suck of this game.
No, don't hold back. Stop censoring yourself, John. Tell us all what you really think about Dead Rising 4.
It's not Frank West. I don't know who this fucking poser is.
Oh man, Blizzard is building their own esports arena.
Okay.
This
like
is
an actual physical building?
Yep.
Or, okay.
This is in Blizzard Arena Los Angeles in Burbank Studios is going to be specifically an arena built for esports. It's going to be opening on October 7th for the start of the Overwatch Contenders Season 1 playoffs.
Nice.
And it's going to be used for apparently a bunch of esports that Blizzard is doing. There's a possibility that it might be able to be used by other people, but it's primarily being built by Blizzard for use of them doing esports.
Cool.
It's a little crazy. I didn't know that Blizzard was super into esports. I mean,
they've been trying to with Heroes
of the Storm,
and Overwatch, and
we even had a story a few weeks back about how like they've got some kind of weird World of Warcraft like competitive rating thing, competitive dungeon raid. So I don't know. We'll see.
Hearthstone.
Well, yeah, I guess Hearthstone is really all that. And last but not least, we got a lovely, heartwarming little thing. So the Witcher turned 10, and with that, we got a little trailer where everybody from The Witcher's hanging out in a bar, and the voiceover's talking about how they're all doing stuff. And then Geralt turns to the camera, and he's just like, "Hey, buddy, how's it going? You and me, we've been through a lot, and
I wouldn't even be alive if it wasn't for you."
Yeah.
And my thing is, Geralt, you're not alive because of me, because I fucking died so much that I quit playing that game.
But it's nice and cute and heartwarming.
Oh no, it is. It's a very nice little video. I think it's actually really cool that they did it.
And it's nice to see that somebody besides Blizzard can bring a small tear to my eye when I talk about their games. You know what? It really makes me want to go play The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
But I don't fucking have time to play The Witcher 3. God damn it.
I just want them to release the Cyberpunk game.
Well,
they need to finish working on it.
No, they've got all the DLCs, and then they spent 6 months making this trailer, so now they can finally get working in earnest on Cyberpunk 2099.
No.
Well, you're enthusiastic. With that, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk about Yakuza Kiwami a little bit, and then we're going to answer some questions, so stick around if you want to hear this. And we're back. And it's time for reviews, not questions. Ha ha! Tricked you.
Jeff's mini reviews.
Damn right. Because last week, after Joe and I got done playing Yakuza Kiwami, I just continued playing Yakuza Kiwami. So for anybody out there who doesn't know, Yakuza Kiwami is basically a remake of the original Yakuza from the PlayStation 2. They remade it in, I think it's the engine from Yakuza 0, but it's like kind of a lightweight, version of the engine. And I want to before I get into very specifics about this, I want to take a moment to say that this is probably one of the best remakes I've ever seen. Just total. So I started playing the game. For anybody who's never played a Yakuza game before, Yakuza is the story of Kiryu this kind of, Yakuza fucking badass guy. And, you start the game out and then things are going and then he's got to, I'm not going to go into specifics in case you want to play it, but then basically a long amount of time passes and then he kind of comes back to Kamurocho, which is a fictionalized version. It's basically like, if you've never played Yakuza before, it's essentially Japanese Grand Theft Auto without cars. You're just running around in this area that you can run from one side to the other to in a relatively short amount of time. And it's full of people. It's full of little quests. It's full of things to do. You get constantly jumped by dudes on the street for no good reason. You got to beat them up. And then, in between doing the storyline, there's, batting and bowling and hostess clubs. And there's a whole little mini game. I thought that they made this. Okay, so I think this is actually new for Yakuza Kiwami, but there's a game that was in Japan where basically it's a trading card game. The thing you would scan the trading cards in an arcade and you would play this beetle fighting game where you would have, it's basically rock, paper, scissors, but your rock, paper, scissors attacks potency were determined by the cards that you scanned in before you did the fighting. Well, in here, it's that, except that instead of beetles, it's sexy ladies with beetle helmets on, razzling. And then you find these cards all over the place. There's all these locker keys to get. There's all this stuff. And then in between, there's a story about this character, Kiryu, and it's actually a really good story. It's about, he's kind of trying to figure out, things have changed in the 10 years that he's been gone. There's kind of a mystery of why certain things are happening. And there's this shady stuff. There's this money that's been missing and nobody knows who did it. And you make a bunch of friends. I'll tell you, this is a testament, John, to how good this game is. One of the main focal points in the game is a fucking child who shows up. Yeah. And I still liked it, in spite of the fact that it had a kid in it, which anybody who knows me knows that I'm not really a big fan of kids in anything, really.
You're not? I saw you punch a baby once.
That baby was looking at me, man. This baby was looking right at me. But so here's an interesting thing, is that I was playing the game. I was just doing my own thing, and I was like, I wonder how different this was from the original Yakuza. So I pulled up a YouTube channel that had just a full-on, it was a 12-hour-long video of just them playing Yakuza, from start to finish, right? And so I had that going, and at a certain point, the two kind of started to get very close to each other. So I was watching a cutscene, and then 2 minutes later, that same cutscene was playing on the PS2 version of Yakuza. And this is why I'm saying this is one of the greatest remakes I've ever seen, is because not only was the dialogue the same, but the camera angles were the same. Everything was exactly, it's they took the code from original Yakuza and then just used it as a template. And then instead of just up-resing the textures, they completely redid everybody and they smoothed out a few of the animations. But you're getting 99% what the original Yakuza was. You're not getting a reinterpretation. The thing that it reminds me most of is that Halo 1 remake where you could literally switch back to the old Halo graphics because it was so close, right? They did add a few things. They kind of changed up the whole inventory upgrade system to be a little bit closer to the way the current Yakuza games are, whereas, you're talking about the first PlayStation 2 game came out forever ago. So it was real raw. One of the things I'm always struck by when you go back to play a really old game is how we've gotten so good at streamlining UI interface and things like that. That's all done. They added in an extra thing called Majima Anywhere. So even if you haven't played the Yakuza game, you may know who Goro Majima is. He's the guy with the eye patch. He's a fucking crazy lunatic.
Yeah, I know who he is. Mainly from the
All-Stars?
The Project Cross Zone.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Games, because, I'm obsessed with those games on the DS, 3DS.
So when you come back, your skills have atrophied, and Majima shows up and kicks your ass, and he's like, you've gotten soft. I'm gonna come at you whenever I find you. So now you'll be just running through the city, and you'll just hear him start talking, and then you'll run into him, and he just runs up to you, and he starts having a fight, and it just happens kind of in random places throughout the game. He also is a really silly character. This is a bit of a spoiler, but I don't care. you get these text messages from his second in command, and there was one time where his second in command is like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? There's a hostess at the hostess club, and she said you won't quit until you come there." And so you go, and it's Goro, and he's dressed up like one of the hostesses, and it makes you do the whole hostess mini game of like flirting with him and drinking with him before you can kick his ass and because every time you kick his ass, you up this meter, and when it levels up, you get the fourth style, the dragon style, gets more unlocks in it.
Yeah.
But it's just a thoroughly enjoyable game. It's challenging in a lot of ways, but it's not too challenging. It's easy to play. You're just running around in the streets, and people are like, "Hey, help me! This guy took my thing," or like, "Oh, there's all these. There's like 78 subplots that you could basically get up to over the course of the game, as well as 12-ish main chapters, all of which are about an hour, 30 minutes apiece."
Okay.
They have added in a whole bunch of new cutscenes explaining one of the characters' backstory, because in the previous game, it's like you come back to Kamurocho, and your best friend is now turned into a complete dick face, and they don't really apparently explain it in the first one. This is, by the way, this is just stuff that I've read, so if this is wrong, I apologize, but they've added in, like at the beginning of each chapter, a flashback to his story to show how his journey and how he became the person that he is when you're playing the game. It's great. And not only that, but if I'm not mistaken, it was like $40. Yeah. Like, I put about 35 hours into it, if that tells you anything. And I feel like if you played, I don't know, it's just like, I'm so used these days to $30 at GameStop. I'm so used these days to companies doing the least amount of work necessary to kind of up-res a thing and then put it out and then be like, "Hey, you remember this game, right? Play Darksiders again, or play whatever again." Like, this game ran like pure butter on my PS4 Pro. Looked great. Not the best looking, not Uncharted great, but like it still looks very, very good. Mm-hmm. It's very snappy. It's very bright. Everything is easy to see. Good story, a little complicated, but when you get into it, it's going. And it really makes me excited because Yakuza Kiwami 2 was announced last week. So they're doing Yakuza 2 to continue the storyline. So I feel like if you have a PS3, right, you can play, and a PS4, you can play Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and then Yakuza Kiwami 2, and then do you know if Yakuza 3 is
4 was the first one on PS3.
Oh, okay. So
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Let's just check that real fast.
I don't know, because I've never actually played any of the.
I think you might really like that game, actually.
Yeah, I actually really want to play the.
Oh, no,
okay,
the Yakuza 3 PS3.
Okay.
And then 4 and 5 are both on the PS3.
Which one was? And then there was like a spinoff, like Dead Souls or something like that.
Yeah, it was a zombie shooting game. But yeah, it's a really fun franchise.
Everyone I know who's played the Yakuza games is like, "No, John, you would really like the Yakuza games."
I think you would really like the Yakuza games.
And like, I keep going like, "Oh, I'll totally check those out," but I'm like, I don't want to jump into Yakuza 5. I want to play,
Yeah.
And so, I keep thinking about it, and, I want to play them. I just haven't gotten to. So
there's also, they changed a few things in Yakuza Kiwami to line up with Yakuza 0.
Okay.
And I feel like there's a couple things where they make reference to, like, Yakuza. He's like, "Oh, I remember that guy." Like, instead of just, they've changed a few things. But for the most part, I mean, like, I was watching the last cutscene, and I was watching it, comparing it to the PS2 version. It's like this exact same camera shot, exact same dialogue, like, and it's also really fun. Like, it's a really fun, just kind of like third-person brawling game with all these other things to do. So, if you're sitting around, I mean, I don't know how you could be sitting around like, I don't have any games to play, because this is the year of fucking everything, apparently.
I'm sitting around saying I have no games to play.
Oh, you want to borrow Yakuza Kiwami?
Sure.
Take it home with you right now.
Yeah, sure.
Yakuza Kiwami is $30, and it's well worth your time. The only drawback, of course, is the fact that it is a PS4 exclusive.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't play it on the Xbox One, you can't play it on the PC. But
that's okay, because I can't play any games on my Xbox One right now because my controller's broken.
Oh, well, there you
go. Being able to play a PlayStation 4 exclusive game, it would be.
The only other thing that I might say is that. Like, it's literally just like when you buy it, it's just like the game in the box, and that's it. Like, there isn't any additional, you don't get any extra costumes or any,
and that's fine.
Do a thing.
There's something to be said for a game that comes out and that's it. Like that game is it. Like that is everything.
That's the other thing it's very much a complete game. It's got a beginning, a middle, and end. There's nothing missing. There's no like extra chapter that you have to download or you have to blah 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 blah. You just put the game in, fucking turn it on, play Yakuza, good to go. So I wholeheartedly recommend Yakuza Kiwami.
Cool.
With that, let's jump into the questions. Mail at rageselect.com is the email address to send your questions into. And our first one this week comes in from Captain Innuendo, who says, "Hey, Jeff and John, Captain Innuendo back with another hot podcast question. I may or may not work in the film industry and may or may not have heard that a TV adaptation of Snowpiercer is in the works. This got me thinking about other TV shows adapted from movies. Fargo and Buffy are the first ones that come to mind for me, and I was wondering your take on this way of adapting movies to TV, with shows like The Exorcist, From Dusk Till Dawn, and even Stargate, where the main points of the show are stretched out to fill a full season of TV. Are you fans of shows based on movies? If so, what are your favorites? What show do you think missed the point entirely? What movies would you like to see adapted into TV shows? Thanks, and as always, keep the good fight. Your patron, Captain Innuendo."
I can say I'm okay with it because we've gotten some really good shows that originally were movies. Like he said, it's like Stargate was a movie, and then the series was a continuation of that. It wasn't like a retelling of that.
Right.
Other really good ones are like he mentioned, Fargo and Exorcist is a really good one. Surprisingly interesting TV show based on a film, Frequency. Like, I really love the movie Frequency with Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid. It's basically a guy who's his father dies at a young age, and there's like a weird aurora borealis thing going on. It's like a once in a lifetime cosmic thing that's going on.
Okay.
And he's sitting at home and he's messing with his AM radio, his dad's old AM radio, and suddenly he starts hearing his dad talk. And then he talks back, and then they start having a conversation, and then time starts changing.
Yeah.
CW did a TV series based on it, and the biggest change was that they gender flipped the main character. Instead of it being a guy, it's a girl.
Okay.
But it was decent. Like, it wasn't bad. Like, it didn't get renewed for a second season, but it was actually pretty decent of a show. 12 Monkeys was a decent one as well. That started off as a movie and got turned into a really interesting TV show. So I'm totally not against it.
And I know that you're a huge fan of a Highlander, right?
Highlander's pretty good. I'm a huge fan of Stargate. I love Stargate SG-1. I didn't really watch any of the spinoff shows, but Stargate SG-1's always really good. And I'm kind of interested in their web series that they're going to be launching next year, Stargate Origins. It's weird.
I'm going to say that for the most part, I'm kind of ambiguous about it. I really like Westworld, which I thought was really an interesting adaptation of a movie to a TV show, even if it's doing something. I feel like, though, a lot of times the place where I most like it is in anime, when an anime movie, but that tends to happen a lot more in the opposite direction. But I was thinking like Standalone Complex was really good as something where they took the Ghost in the Shell movie and then kind of spun this, series off of it.
I mean, like, I am totally on board for shows that do it well, or that do it with an interesting hook.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, there are definitely shows that were adaptations of movies that were just god awful. I'm having trouble thinking of them right now because I tend to block those out of my memory.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, they're definitely like someone pointed out that apparently some network is trying to turn the movie Heathers into a TV show.
Okay.
But like there was like an interview with the cast, and like it's clear that the cast completely missed the point of the movie. And so it sounds like the TV show is just in name alone and has nothing to do with what happened in that movie.
All right. Fair enough.
And it was just like, that's weird. That's kind of all right,
It's funny.
I heard Teen Wolf was good, but I just couldn't get past the teen drama aspect of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go that route where maybe it's good for the crowd that's watching it, but for me, it's not for me.
There was an Uncle Buck TV series?
Probably.
Oh, okay.
Probably on Fox in the early 90s.
This is 2016, apparently.
Well, never mind.
No, wait. Here's a good one. The Sarah Connor Chronicles was an excellent. In fact, I feel like Sarah Connor Chronicles, from what I remember about them, was better than most of the last couple of Terminator movies that came out.
Yeah, really, the only good Terminator movies were 1 and 2.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched all of them, and like, I don't know, 3 has a certain amount of charm to it, but
yeah, no, I agree with you on that. 3 has a charm, but I never watched Genesis. I kind of wanted to watch it, but I never watched it.
Salvation is just too gritty for me, and Genesis was weird, like very. Like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I like the idea of a franchise like Terminator that involves time travel being able to legitimately reboot itself every so often, because, like, every time the timeline gets too fucked up, then you could just be like, and now we're going to start over again, essentially.
Yeah. I did think it was interesting that the original ending for Salvation, because there was an original ending and then they changed it at the last minute. And then apparently for Genesis, they just said, fuck it, let's do that ending in Genesis and like have that be the point of the fucking movie.
Okay.
Sort of. Like, I haven't seen Genesis, so I don't know, but I know like the big twist because all the fucking trailers spoiled it.
Yeah. I don't remember much. It's like a fever dream to me that I don't entirely remember. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Everyone I really like Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. That was a great TV series.
Never watched it.
I have the first volume. Unfortunately, I got broke and could never buy volume 2 and 3, which sucked because they were also like super expensive. But also like each volume had like a ton of episodes, and each episode is like a mini movie. Like, they're not just hour-long episodes; they're like 2-hour-long episodes.
Oh, cool.
And it just. Never could buy seasons 2 and 3, but I got the first one, and it's really good.
Fair enough. Jimmy K413 writes in and says, Jeff and John, I've noticed that there have been a fair amount of successful games that have been remastered and re-released. I should have put this question first. I fell for this with Return to Arkham and BioShock, but in the end I felt stupid for paying again for a game that I had already beat. I understand that it is the developer's IP and they can do whatever they want, but I find putting a new package on an old game shameful. 2 questions. 1, do you think that the remaster and release that some developers are doing is a lazy attempt to make money without actually creating any new content? 2, can you think of any remaster and release that you were truly impressed with? Loco Steve Forever, Jimmy K413. So, okay, let's, I feel like that number 2 question I kind of already answered, but let's go with this number 1 question. Do you think that the remaster and release that some developers are doing is a lazy attempt to make money without actually creating any new content?
No, because there is work that goes into those remasters, despite what you might think. It's not literally like they flip a switch and suddenly it works on the new console.
Sure.
Or suddenly it has better graphics or HDified. Like, there's actually work that is put into those. Is it a easier work than making a full-fledged game? Sure, of course it is.
Yeah.
But it can also be done to gauge interest on a franchise that maybe didn't do as well on the previous version.
Yeah.
And it can they can use that to gauge interest on whether or not to do a sequel.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's because it's been so long since the first one happened, they want to do a remaster of it, so it brings that, the memory of that game to the limelight, so that because they're going to do a sequel and they're not doing it to gauge the interest, they're going to, and they just want people to remember, what happened.
Sure.
So I don't think it's lazy. I do agree that, especially at the very beginning of the PS4 and Xbox One era of video games, there were just a shit ton of remasters coming out. Like, literally every other game that got released during that first year were just HD re-releases of games that came out on the 360 and the PS3.
There was a fair amount of that, though, in the PS3 era as well.
Oh, no,
I think that the problem was that by the time they started doing that in the PS3, Xbox 360 era, that those games had that there was so many games that were coming out that it was just like part of the sea. Whereas what you're talking about is in the beginning of the PS4 and the Xbox One era, there were weeks where there was nothing but an HD remaster coming out. Trust me, I know.
Yeah.
Because I have to put out videos every week.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so, I mean, sometimes it can be shameful. Sometimes the ports are fucking god awful. Sometimes they're good. Sometimes they're really good. I'm trying to think of one I was like you just already talked about. Like you talked about Yakuza,
Halo, the Master Chief
Halo Master Chief Collection is fucking amazing. Like that package in and of itself is worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some of the others that were like, even though it. Okay. I don't like Valkyria Chronicles. I bought that game so many times.
Yes.
I bought that game so many times. I don't care. I don't care if they didn't actually do anything to improve it. It looks like the exact same fucking game. I don't care. It's great. It's a fucking great game.
Well, part of it also is, see, that's one of the other things that I feel I'm like conflicted about. To me, it all depends on price, right? Yeah. Like, if you are trying to charge like $60 for, like Yakuza Kiwami was $30.
Okay, yeah.
That's great. And Yakuza Kiwami actually has more work put into it than a lot of HD
I think even
remasters.
Valkyria Chronicles, which had nothing put into it except you got all the DLC, I think that was like what? It was like $29.99?
$30, something like that. It's mostly like Batman, but then the other thing you have to remember, Jimmy, is that okay, let's say that you are a console gamer, not a PC gamer, but I feel like this is specifically for console gamers who either this generation is your first console, or maybe like last generation you didn't ever play those Batman games and you wanted a chance to go back and try to play them. It's good archival as well, of giving people the ability to get access to games that, I mean, I'll be honest, like there are some PS2 games out there that I'm sure are great, but I don't want to play them because they look like fucking dog shit now.
Yeah.
Whereas,
Well, and along the lines of what you're saying is that there's a lot of people who it's the first time they ever got a console, so they never got to play Red Dead Redemption. They never got to play LA Noire. They never got to play these games that people are touting as like, really like the must play games of the last generation. They never got to play those because of their first game console. Now they get to play them. Not Red Dead Redemption, mind you, but now they get to play those. That's just hopeful thinking that sometime in the future they might do that, since it's probably going to be a really long time before we get Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Moving on. But also the other thing is that what a lot of people don't think is that, people like me, people like you, we don't get rid of our old consoles.
Yeah.
Like we buy our consoles, we keep it, and we like, and then if we want to play a game that's on that console, we just pull it out, hook it up, and play it. That's not what a lot of people do. Most people, when the new generation comes out, when Timmy wants, like, hey ma, I want the new PS4. Well, you have a PS3, you can play your PS3, but I want the new one. Okay, well, we got to trade your PS3 in to get the PS4. So they no longer have the ability to play those games that they liked because they had to get rid of their old console to get the new one.
Yeah.
I mean, that happened to me when I was younger. When you went from SNES to the GameCube, you had to get rid of the SNES, or not GameCube, but the N64. You had to get rid of your SNES. That was, even if you weren't trading it in somewhere, it was like, oh, well, if you want this, then we're gonna give your old console to this person as a gift so that they have something to do, play. Cousin Jerry, and he gets your old SNES, whereas you get the newfangled whatever to play. And that's just, again, that's just the way families work. I mean, that's the large percentage of people, that's how they deal with this stuff. So these games being re-released on a newer console is good.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It totally depends on the price point. If it's a good price, like $30, depending on the game, like if it's a collection of like 4 games for $40 and they're like 4 like high caliber AAA best games, like the BioShock collection that had BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite.
Yeah,
like that was a good deal. Like the Nathan Drake collection of 1, 2, and 3 on the Well,
plus the other thing to remember, of course, is the fact that in this particular day and age, they're probably going to be that $30 price point for a year, and then come Christmas, you're probably going to be able to pick it up on the PlayStation Network for $15.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, I can't count the number of times that Star Wars Battlefront, a game that came out year and a half, 2 years ago, has been like $9.99 for the collector's edition with all the DLC on sale on the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
So I think that the idea of having that code out there, I understand. Jimmy, I totally understand where you're coming from with the idea of, fucking stop come on, Naughty Dog, like, put out The Last of Us 2, quit giving me The Last of Us HD remake, or like, quit working on that. Please stop wasting cycles on this and get to the next game instead of putting out a game that I already played. And I also totally understand, if I wasn't doing this, if I wasn't doing Rage Select, I probably would not buy many of these things. It's just a lot of times there'll be a week and it'll be like, I need something for us to play, and let's take a look at this, let's take a look at this HD remake of this game. But left to my own devices, I'd probably just stick to the big stuff that comes out. But I don't begrudge anybody the ability to go back and play those games.
Well, it's like you said, it's like, the Halo collection. Like, if I bought an Xbox One, it's the first console I've ever had. It's the first Xbox I've ever had. Like, let's say I was a PS4 guy and this new generation or PlayStation guy, and I made the switch to Xbox this generation.
Yeah.
I want to play Gears of War. I want to play the original. Oh, I can buy the original Gears of War and get all the other games as backwards compatible. And I get this remastered version of Gears of War. I can buy this collection. I get Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then that gives me access to 5. That's cool. Like, you can totally get on board and feel like you're getting the whole story and you're not lost, and you're getting it at a decent price point as well.
Yeah.
And the PlayStation has had some good what was it, the Heavy Rain Beyond Two Souls thing. Those aren't terrible games. They're not great, but they're not terrible.
I mean, technically, if you think about it, I was just looking at a list of different things. When you think about it, Grand Theft Auto 5 on the PS4 was kind of a remaster re-release. They didn't add any additional content to it. They added the first-person mode.
Well, they added PlayStation Online. Not PlayStation, Grand Theft Auto Online.
Yeah, okay. But that was also in the PS3 and Xbox 360 version.
I thought it was just a multiplayer thing.
Well, that is the multiplayer thing, is Grand Theft Auto Online.
I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto Online was only on the new consoles.
Was it? I don't really remember, because it was a launch and then a year later that it finally.
Yeah.
But I thought that was on the PS3 versions. Let me see if I can find out here real fast.
I mean, I could be wrong. Feel free to tell me that I'm wrong.
Let's see. This says Windows, PS3, PS4, 360, and Xbox One. So I don't know. To me, it's not a thing to get bent out of shape about. If it's stuff you don't want, don't buy it. To be honest, there are a lot of other problems in the gaming industry that I would probably seek to remedy before putting out HD. Now, don't get me wrong. Again, at the beginning of this console generation, it was kind of disgusting, the number of HD remakes that were especially games that were out 2 years ago. I don't have anything against the game, but DMC came out in the tail end of the last generation, and then it was hey, there's an HD version,
and it was $60,
and the Darksiders 2 on the PS4 kind of runs like garbage. There's some
and that's the other thing is when you get the HDified one, and it runs like fucking garbage.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's one of those things where I do feel like that's a real vote with your wallet type of thing. Yeah. Just if they aren't making any money, if it's a low cost for them to put it out, and they pass that savings along to people who potentially want to buy it, and a lower number of people want to buy it, everybody's still winning, right? They're getting a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You haven't lost anything. So, all right. This also comes in from Juho, who says, "Hi guys. Congratulations. The video game company of your choosing will make one game for you. What kind of game would it be? I've always wanted to play a proper Aliens game, which isn't a first-person shooter. In my game, made by Rockstar, because, of course, your job is to build your own xenomorph hive, like an XCOM, in the city, and slowly grow your species, take over the city, and in the late game, the whole planet. GTA meets Aliens and Pandemic, in short. By Rockstar? Really? Okay. You must also add predators in the game. So they can be some kind of boss battle or a really tough threat that you must deal with occasionally and carefully, or if they call for reinforcements. It can also work as invaders in Dark Souls and sometimes be controlled by other players. What do you think? Thanks. This is Juho from Finland. I just can't get over Rockstar's making your Aliens game, because this sounds like Firaxis should be making it, not Rockstar, unless your alien, like, you know, has to pick up some alien hookers and then like get in an alien car and like run over some other aliens
and then tie up a alien lady and put her on the train tracks.
Yeah, and then like you got to take down the alien mafia by working with the other alien mafia. You got to work with the Irish alien mafia to take out the Russian alien mafia. Fuck it, dude. I just want a video game that's just Grand Theft Auto, but it's aliens and xenomorphs.
There's probably a mod for that online.
They don't have any dialogue. It's just...
There's probably a mod on the
subtitles
somewhere.
And it's Tommy Vercetti alien wearing this little Hawaiian shirt, right? He's just like, fuck you. I don't know if okay, so any company making any game we want. What do you think?
Remedy, just make me Alan Wake 2.
That's it?
Yeah, I'm good. Just make me Alan Wake 2. That's
okay,
all.
What if I put in no sequels? What if we do that? No sequels or prequels or existing franchises, like a
Kojima, make whatever game you want. Oh, he's already doing that. Sorry.
Yeah. Let me think here. I'm trying to think of a good franchise that I would be interested. You know what I want? I want Suda51 to make a Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas game.
Okay. All right, I see it.
Actually, I want Suda51 to have a big dump truck full of money and just make whatever I want. I don't even know how Suda51 keeps getting to make video games. Like, I don't think they sell like gangbusters or anything, but that motherfucker still gets to make his games. I think that I bet he's making this new No More Heroes game as his payout, right? His like cash day, and then he can go back and make whatever fucking lunatic garbage he wants to make after he's put out another of that franchise. What was oh no, I know what. If we're doing sequels, I want Suda to make a Killer 8. That's what I really want.
Killer 8.
I want a new Killer 7 game. The game is so fucking weird. It's so fucking crazy. I don't know. This is a good question. I would like you know what? I would like, this is going to sound real weird, but stick with me here.
I'm sticking with you.
I want Miyazaki to make a Metroid game.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like Souls. It doesn't have to be like Stamina Bars or whatever. I just want that guy with his storytelling and his attention to detail to make a Metroid game, because I desperately want a dark Metroid game, or like I know some of them have been slightly dark, but I want like a grown-up adult ass Metroid game that for grown-up adults. It's got a lot of craziness going on in it. I don't know. I do like man. Yeah, my own rules are working against me. Can we just bring PT back? Can we just let them finish that game?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like if there's a specific franchise or something that I would like.
Tell me about it.
I got it.
Lay it on me.
Volition.
Okay.
Makers of Saints Row franchise, makers of the Agents of Mayhem.
Yep.
Give them Duke Nukem.
That's a good one.
Just give them Duke Nukem. Just say, hey, make a Duke Nukem game. Make it good.
Yeah. They could probably...
Also, put Johnny Gat in the game. Might as well.
I was actually thinking that you were going to say, like, somebody like Rockstar to make a Briscoe County Junior game.
Good God, no. Nah, I don't need that.
Okay. I want CD Projekt Red to make a Mantis game. No, Knight Rider 2000 game.
No. Viper.
He did it. He won the internet. Yes, fucking Viper. You know what? That's almost like I'm gonna make a whole series of taking like big name video game guys. Like, I want Hideo Kojima to make what's one of those other ones one of those other crazy ones, like a Xena Warrior Princess game, or like what are some of those other terrible shows from the 90s, like
Nowhere Man. It's really, I actually really like that show. That's a really good show.
Well, I figure you would know them.
Let's see, Total Recall 2047 or whatever it is.
Yeah, there you go.
A fucking terrible one. Jack of all trades. Bruce Campbell. Cleopatra 2025.
Yes. Ken Levine's got to make Cleopatra 2025.
VIP with
I don't know that one.
That's with Pamela Anderson.
Oh, okay.
It was her next show kind of thing. It was like a VIP protection agency. Okay. Like they were like bodyguards.
So this is what you do with your time.
No, this was my childhood. I watched all these shows, the 90s. Like I watched a lot of TV in the 90s.
Okay.
So like all of this stuff is just like ingrained in there, and I'm just like trying to cycle through like what the Shasta McNasty, the video game. I don't know.
Sure. Fucking Viper. All right.
I fucking love Viper.
Let's move on.
The Sentinel was another good show from the 90s.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Which one was that one?
It was basically what's funny is the Sentinel's actually kind of a lot like Unbreakable.
Okay.
Except it's about a guy who was like in Vietnam, or not in Vietnam, but like in a war in a Vietnam-like country, and he ends up becoming like the totem protector for this tribe, and ends up gaining these powers, but they don't like kick in right away. And then like he comes back to the U.S. and becomes a cop, and then just like one day it turns out like he's like the best, like he's like this best cop in town, and like this guy who studies like Indonesian, like different cultures, like tribes and stuff, finds out about him and finds out that the reason he's so good as a cop is because he has all these like weird animal powers from becoming the like protector totem of this.
I want our podcast to just be you describing these horrible shows from the 1990s.
Oh, it's so good.
This is insane. Carl writes in and says, "Hey, Jeff and John, it has been a while since I asked a question. I was thinking of the next console cycle, and I was seriously considering just getting a PC instead of another console. Currently on the PS4 Slim. This is not to say that I don't like playing on a console, but after the shift to a minor hardware upgrade model for their devices, it made it a lot harder to distinguish between the two platforms now. So my question is, as I already have a PC for productivity, are there PC providers that do more gaming/entertainment embedded machines, and is Steam still the only real game in town for getting games digitally? Thanks, and sorry if the email is a little long. Carl." Well, I can tell you, Carl, that there are some PC manufacturers out there. I would probably, I don't know if things have changed in the last few years, but I'd probably stay away from Alienware because they always charge a fucking...
Well, Alienware is owned by Dell now.
Still, yeah, it's the Dell gaming PCs. I've always found them to be horribly overpriced.
What's funny is when Dell bought Alienware, they just put it's the Alienware cases with the Dell gaming PC, and literally they're the Dell gaming PCs that they sell on their websites that they sell as Dell branded gaming PCs, and the Alienware PCs, they're the exact same insides, but there's like $2,000 difference in price between the two.
Oh, wow.
But they're the same exact PCs.
I would also highly recommend against getting a laptop. Gaming it requires gaming requires high power. High power generates heat. Heat dispersal in laptops are worse than in desktops. I've seen so many gaming laptops fry their video cards over the years just because they run super hot and by the way, super hot. Then I
was wondering.
You have to take care of them. You have to clean them out. You have to clean the vents and everything, and you're still just packing more hardware together into a smaller space. The computer that I'm currently using, I got from Digital Storm. Digital Storm is not bad. To be honest, these days, I'd really recommend building your own. Like, even if you've never done it before, it's pretty fucking easy these days.
Yeah. I think my PC, I didn't feel like building it, but I wanted something that I could easily customize.
Yeah.
And they just sent it to me built. I went with like a company called Cyber Power PC.
Okay.
Like there's literally tons of like smaller companies that are all they do is design gaming. Like all their options are designed for gaming.
Yeah.
So like you can go with their base, or you can like upgrade, pick better memory and stuff like that. it's a little bit more expensive than buying the parts individually yourself because they're just selling it to you right then and there. Whereas if you were just to go to a store and like I'm gonna buy this case and I'm gonna buy this motherboard and I'm gonna buy this processor to go with the motherboard and I'm gonna buy this amount of memory and these things, like if you were to buy it all separately yourself, you could probably get it at a cheaper price.
Yes, absolutely.
But I mean, as far as one of the comments that he made, it's actually something that's kind of been bothering me about the minor hardware updates, like with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X, is that a lot of people don't understand those aren't new consoles.
Yeah.
They're the same. They're still an Xbox. It's still an Xbox One. It's still a PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
Or still a PS4.
Yeah.
Like, this is not like a lot of people are thinking that it's a Wii to Wii U transition.
Really?
And that there are games that will only work on the PS4 Pro and won't work on a regular PS4 and only work on the Scorpio / Xbox One X, but won't work on the regular Xbox One. That's not the case.
No.
All games will work on both consoles. It's just for the ones that are optimized for those other consoles, they will look better on those other consoles, but they're still the same games.
They're not even like hugely better looking.
Yeah.
Like I bought a PS4 Pro because the optical drive on my PS4 was getting a little wonky,
and also because you have PlayStation VR.
Well, yeah, but even PSVR isn't really any different between the PS4 Pro and the regular PlayStation.
I've heard that some of the VR games run smoother on the Pro.
Oh, okay.
Like the graphical difference is not better, but it runs smoother.
Okay. But I don't know. To be honest, Carl, the only thing that I would say is that, like, if you're not into, if your major complaint is that the consoles no longer have the longevity like they used to, where you just bought one console and that would take care of you for 10 years, switching over to the PC environment is not worse. Exactly like,
That's actually even worse, because by the time you, like, let's say you buy a computer from a computer store, like let's say you buy something from Dell or you buy something from like one of the places that we mentioned that you can buy gaming PCs, by the time you get that PC and open the box, it's already out of date.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, no. I mean, maybe not as it used to be. Maybe it was worse a long time ago, but like it's pretty much already, like it's when I say it's out of date, I don't mean like, oh man, you can't play anything, but I mean by the time you open the box, there's gonna be stuff that your computer can't handle.
Well, to put it a better way, I haven't upgraded my PC, and games have run worse and worse and worse over time. And my PS4, even the original one, is still running stuff pretty easily. So I don't know. I mean, if you do want to build yourself a PC, or if you do want to get a gaming PC, I would highly recommend building it.
Yeah,
like I said,
I agree.
Go online and look at tutorials. It used to be a lot harder than it is. Nowadays, it's kind of just snapping a bunch of parts together, unless you're going with some kind of bullshit liquid cooling or whatever. Like, cable routing can be a little bit of a bitch, but for the most part, like, it's so much easier than it used to be.
Zip
to just build
ties
a
are your
piece.
friend.
Yeah.
And then also he asked about, is Steam still the only game in town? For the most part, yes, Steam is the only game in town. You do have stuff like good old games,
GOG, Galaxy.
But yeah, Steam for the most part is still pretty much.
It depends on what kind of games you're looking for. Like,
you know, some companies still have their own stuff. Like,
like an Origin.
Epic Games still has their thing. Origin is EA's thing. But Ubisoft has their Ubi Club thing. And Blizzard still has Blizzard Net. Whatever it's called.
It's Battle.net. It's back to Battle.net.
Oh, they changed it back to Battle.net after abandoning it?
Yep.
God damn it. That's the one thing that Blizzard has done that I will say they fucked up on.
What?
Trying to drop Battle.net.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because it doesn't really make sense. Fuck you. It makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know. If you look at GOG, I'm looking at the latest releases. You get a fair amount. As long as you're looking to get the big stuff or big indies, you could do a lot worse than sticking with here. I mean, I'm looking like Absolver, E7, Songbringer, Everspace, Lego, The Suffering. That's so old. They just added that, like Gauntlet and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you really want to keep up with the latest and greatest Steam, you're probably going to be forced into the Steam architecture, but. All right, we got a couple more here, and then let's see what our times look like. Oh yeah, we'll do. Let's do one more. Let's do one more hypothetical here. This one comes in from Diego, and Diego says, "Hello, Jeff and John. It's time to get on the hypothetical train." Ryuk shows up in your house and hands you the death note. He tells you it's time to change the world of gaming. Whose name gets written, and how does the gaming world ripple? Does Don Matrick have a heart attack in the middle of an Xbox One presentation and ever pisses off the consumers, thus not tipping the scales in Sony's favor? Let's get dark. Love what you guys do. As always, your loyal patron, Diego. Oh, so apparently it's also a time-traveling death note, because Don Matrick ain't been fucking in Microsoft for 5 years now, 4 years, 3 years, 3 years.
Well, I mean, that's why this is the Don Matrick Memorial Podcast.
That's true. It's very true. But that was like the first 6 months of Rage Select. It hasn't been that since then. Okay, so let's set some parameters. Okay, let's say you can only kill one person. And let's just say, because I know that, we're both...
Would Ryuk only set that parameter if you can only kill one person?
Well, if you want to just be like, just doing your you gotta be fucking writing stuff, you can just like, give me a list of the people who have invented DLC over the years. Now let's just say one person, but one person anytime in the history of gaming. What do you think?
That's just it. I don't wish death on anyone. I don't want to kill anyone in the industry. I don't want to, like, I'm not, I just don't have that in me.
Okay.
Literally, Ryuk would walk up to me, it's like, so you gotta write someone's name, and you gotta write how they die, and then you're gonna watch them die the way you wrote it. I'm gonna be like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Okay. Well, it's the fire note, right? It's like they're immediately fired in disgrace, and somebody else is going to take their place. How about that?
I mean, maybe Don Matrick. I don't know. Like I
You think back. Think back. I think I got mine.
Okay, what's yours?
I think it's fucking Bobby Kotick.
Oh, Bobby Kotick, huh?
That guy was doing shitty shit at EA for so long. That was him, right? Is it EA?
I thought Kotick was Activision.
Was he Activision? Maybe it was Activision. Fuck. Who's that Satan guy? Yep, Activision Blizzard. Yep, sorry. Who's that Satan guy at EA that shows up every year? Fucking what's his name?
The guy looks younger and younger every year.
No, he's got the same name as Andrew Wilson.
Yeah.
That's his name. I remember because there was a guy from Spill named Andrew Wilson. I will never forget Andrew Wilson. And strangely enough, Satan from EA has the same name as him. Maybe Andrew Wilson. I don't know. I'm trying to think like who's made the biggest impact in gaming for the negative, for the worse, as opposed to for the better. I'm trying to think like of an evil villain. Pitchford, maybe. Who was the dude that was running 3D Realms for so long? That where they wouldn't put out Duke Nukem forever, and I mean that in all the terms.
You're not talking about Carmack or...
No. Let's see.
John Romero or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
John Romero. I would never off the prettiest woman in all of game development. Who the fuck am I thinking of? God damn it.
By the way, I have no problems with any of these people. I'm just trying to figure out who you're talking about.
Who is this guy? Writer, director? Fuck. I don't know. I can't. My brain is just completely like. Anyway, I've completely lost the thread here. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the biggest villains in video games. I don't think
anyone's really a villain. Like I don't like. I think that's the thing is that when it comes to video games, we like to paint people as villainous or saints or like, oh, these are the heroes of the industry and these are the villains of the industry, and only if these villains would go away. But I don't think anyone's inherently evil in the video games industry. I think maybe some of them are misguided in some of what they think the industry needs, but also I think some of them have been responsible for, you know, even Bobby Kotick or Don Matrick himself, you know, for all the shit that they did that they talked about that we didn't like. I'm almost 90% positive there's something behind the scenes that we love wouldn't have happened without them.
Very possibly. The other problem that I'm having is I don't know, like, I would love to go to the Konami board of directors that ousted Kojima and got all shitty with him
And write all of their names.
But I don't know who any of them are. Like we can say, like the current board of directors of Konami. Like I don't know. There's so many. That's the problem, is that like we only know a few like real high profile people in the gaming industry, and there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't know.
And most of the people that I do know, like that I know who they are and I know what they do and all this stuff, they're people I like, and that's the reason I know who they are, is because I like them. And even the people that I don't really care for, like fucking Peter Molyneux, he's fucking crazy enough that I want him around.
Zack
I want
Snyder.
his crazy.
That's how I've decided. Zack Snyder and Damon Lindelof. Those are the two names I want to write in the Death Note a long time ago.
But they're not anything with the gaming industry.
I know. But I don't have anybody in the game industry that I have a super beef with.
Again, I don't even have it. Like, I don't like Zack Snyder, but I don't want to see him dead. Like, I didn't want to even see what happened.
Well, we changed the parameters. It's the fire note. They're just going to get fired from whatever they're working on. You're not very good at this game, John.
I'm not. This is like, I'm like the worst person to ask for this.
Okay.
Like, this kind of thing. Like, I just don't have it in me. I'm not. You know, I'm naturally good. You know, I'm neutral good.
Well, all right. Well, then let's throw one more in here to see if you give you this one. Hey, Jeff and John, here's a simple question, and apologies if this has been asked before. What books are you ashamed of not reading yet? There are books or comics, if you wish, that you fully intend to read at some point and or finish, but have not due to time, money, or simply forgetting about them. Thanks for all the hard work, Daniel.
Ooh, that's a good one. I have to think about that one. I know that there was a time where Watchmen was the book that I had not read that I was really ashamed that I had not read, and then I finally like broke down and bought the Absolute edition.
Okay.
And then like read it and was like, oh fuck, this is really good. Like this holds up well, you know, really well for what it is. There's some stuff that doesn't age well, but the story as a whole holds up really fucking well.
Yeah.
As opposed to then going and reading, you know, trying to go back and reread The Dark Knight Returns and going, nope, this is still garbage.
Oh, Frank Miller.
Yeah, but no, I'm trying to think of like what probably for me the thing I'm ashamed for not reading is probably I haven't finished Preacher. Like I've read like the first like 2 or 3 volumes of Preacher, and then also Transmetropolitan. I have not read any of that.
What?
Yeah, I know of it. I know what it is. Like I know the basic idea of it enough that I could probably fake it if I needed to. But I've actually never read it.
What? That's lunacy. Insane.
Never read Astro City, though I'm less ashamed of that one. But
Astro City is just really good.
Yeah, everyone. I actually had a friend who bought me a bunch of volumes of Astro City, and they're not even like the first volume. There's random volumes, and he bought it for me for my birthday because he thought I was a fan and just didn't own any of them. Because I had mentioned I didn't own any Astro City. He was like, "I bought you some. And these were like some of my favorite Astros." I was like, "I've never read any Astro City." And he's like, "Oh, well, never mind. I thought you had read them for some reason."
I don't know. The second and the third stories like kind of stand on their own.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of other like big things that I haven't read that I'm ashamed that I'm like ashamed that I haven't read. Transmetropolitan would probably be the closest of like I am ashamed that I haven't read at least some of that.
I don't know any. I don't.
For a long time, I didn't read Planetary. But that was because it wasn't finished, and it was so when they only had 2 issues to go, and there was so much time between those 2 issues. I didn't want another fucking Rising Star situation that I was just like, I'm just going to wait until they get off their ass and release those final issues.
I wish that I had not started reading Planetary until it was all out already.
Yeah, I waited until it had all come out, and even then I hadn't read it. And then Comixology had a special to where you could buy the entire thing in one, you know, digital volume for like $20.
Yeah.
And I was like, those books are like $20 a piece.
Yeah.
There's like 5 books. Fuck that. I'll buy the omnibus thing for, you know, digital, and I read it all in one sitting. It was really good. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like what are some
Did you ever
stuff-
read any of the spinoffs of Planetary?
Yeah,
Planetary versus Authority.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Justice
Well,
League,
that was
Planetary.
That was in the omnibus thing.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I read everything.
Okay.
And I think I now own all of it also in like physical collection as well. But
It's a good story.
Yeah, it's a really good story. Like I really liked it. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like what are books that like I've never read that like I'm trying to think of something other than Transmet. I knew Transmet popped in my head because of you, because you talk about it all the time, and I'm like I've never actually read it.
So good. I'm a big junkie for Warren Ellis. So
Yeah.
like I like his kind of vulgar, crazy, wackadoo thing.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of other books that like that. Maybe Scalped. I've never read, and I've always wish I'd kind of read that one. I'm not really. I don't know.
For me, it'd have to be just like regular books, like War and Peace, or it's weird, Daniel. I hate to like get all highfalutin, but like when I'm interested in a book, I read it. Like
Yeah.
I've got plenty. I mean, I make time to read because I do it instead of fucking with social media, right? So I tear through book after book. I mean, I just finished one book last night and I started a new one.
And I think that's why I mentioned mostly comics, because I don't feel bad for not reading books because I don't read normal novel books.
Well, see, then for
often
comics,
anyways.
I don't know what I'm missing. So that's my issue with that. Yeah. I don't know. Is there anything else that comes to mind?
Yeah, no, I can't. Like, I think that's probably like just off the top of my head. That's the big one that I'm like, well, shit. If anything, like the most of my ashamed of stuff are stuff that I've read like the first 2 or 3 volumes of, and I haven't like been able to finish it. Mm-hmm. Like there are volumes of Hellboy that I have not read, of the Hellboy story that I have not read, even though I'm a huge Hellboy fan. But but yeah, like if you want to talk about like whole comic book series that are done in the can, there's not new ones coming out that I have not read, that have been out for a long time, that I'm ashamed that I have not read them. Like I said, Transmet's probably the big one, and like there's just random spattering of maybe stuff that I could like. Every time I try to think of something, it's like, nope, I eventually read that. Nope, I eventually read that. Like I'm trying to just.
Well, I tell you what, sounds like that's good as any.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. Mail at ragesite.com is the email address. Send your questions in, and we may read them and answer them if we have an answer for them. And with that, we are